We will start with structured realization of the IR filters. Okay. So what are the different types? The different types of structure realization include direct form 1, which we have already discussed, direct form 2, then cascade form, parallel form, transpose direct form, and lastly the lattice structure form. Okay. In our syllabus, we will not cover this lattice transfer structure form, and we'll be just discussing about the first five, that is the direct form 1, direct form 2, cascade form, parallel form, and transpose direct form realization methods. Okay. So in the direct form 1, if you see, if we are given with any difference equation uh, where output is given by yn equals to minus of summation of k equals to 1 to n ak y of n minus k plus summation of k equals to 0 to m bk x of n minus k, where n and m, they are the powers of your system. So if you see the ak is related with the denominator, that means this ak terms, they are related with the pole positions, while bk, they are associated with the zero positions. Okay. So this n and m, they are usually given by they govern the order of the filter basically. Okay. Now in this case, let us take this n is equal to m equals to 2. Okay, to make our life simple and to understand what does this equation help us to do. So when we do this, when we take n equals to m equals to 2, so and then after that we take the z transform, we get yz equals to minus of a1 z inverse yz minus of a2 z to the minus 2 yz plus b0 xz plus b1 z to the power minus 1 xz plus b2 z to the power minus 2 xz. Okay. Now from here, if we rearrange the equation and calculate the xz, we get b0 plus b1 z inverse plus b2 z to the power minus 2 and divided by 1 plus a1 z inverse plus a2 z to the power minus 2. So this is our transfer function. And from the previous equation where we are given with the yz, we have calculated the yz, we can find out the direct form 1 realization. What we are basically doing, see, we are getting the input on the left hand side, bz, xz, it is getting multiplied with b0, xz is multiplied with b0, plus we are getting b1 z inverse means delay, so there will be a delay. After delay, the values are being the values are being multiplied with b1, and it is being added with the first term. Say if I call it capital B, so capital B0, so added with the capital B0 over here, so over here we get B0. Then the next one is say B1, capital B1, so this capital B1, it gets added with the B0, and lastly b2 z to the power minus 2 exit. So that means the input is being delayed by 2 times. The first time delay is here and the second time delay is over here, and after that the input is being multiplied with b2, and say we get a capital B2 term over here. So at this juncture, say for example, say I call it wn, we get a value of b0 plus b1 plus b2. Okay. Similarly, if you see on the left hand side of this equation, the left hand part of the left hand side of the equation, so we get the output is being tapped and it is being delayed, and then that value is being multiplied by minus of a1. Similarly, if we call it say a1, so we get yz delayed and then getting with multiplied with minus of a1, so we get a1. And similarly, we have also have another thing, this another term. So wherein the output is being delayed by is being delayed 2 times, and then it is being multiplied with minus of a2. So let's say it is capital A2 after the multiplication, and at this position we get a1 plus a2. However, this wn, what is it? It is nothing but b0 plus b1 plus b2 plus of a1 plus a2. So this is what we have got over here, right? So this is the direct form realization. Whatever is the equation, we get it and we just implement it in this way. However, in the direct form 2 realization, what we do, suppose we are having h of z. In the h of z, we are having, say, yz by xz. We all know that hz is equal to yz by xz. Now we break it down into yz divided by wz multiplied by wz divided by xz. Okay. Herein, what we are having, so if you see in this case, we were having yz by xz. Okay. And initially what we have done, initially we have taken the components related with this xz values, whereas at a later stage we have taken the components related with the output values. So what this direct form 2 architecture says, that we need to replace the later half with the first half and vice versa. Okay, so accordingly, if you see, if we get xz and then this second part, it has been implemented. So if you see, we are getting z inverse, and then we are getting added up over here. Similarly, the second part also, it is getting at a later stage. So we are getting b0, b1 and b2 over here. Now when we have placed this consecutively in this manner, what it does is that it allows us to combine these delays into one, so that we can reduce the number of delays, okay, within the architecture. So if you see, we have combined both of these delays and we have replaced with this d1 z inverse, and the next two delays, they have been replaced with the second delay. So once you do this, we get the direct form 2 realization. So what is the advantage? If you see, in the direct form realization, we were having 4 number of delays. Okay, so whereas in the second one, we were having only 2 number of delays. Okay, so in the memory, in the first case, the processor had to remember 4 numbers, whereas in the second case, the processor needs to remember only 2 numbers in memory. Okay, so it has to keep 2 numbers in the memory. So what is happening? The computational burden in the direct form 2 realization, it is quite lower as compared to direct form 1 realization. Now, once we have understood direct form 1 and direct form 2 realization, then the next two parts, the cascade form and parallel form, we will see that it may be implemented either through the direct form 1 or direct form 2, and then in the cascade form and the parallel form, these are nothing but combinations of different subsystems. it is a combination of different subsystems. Okay, so if you see in the parallel form one, so it is given by say h of z, it is equal to h of 1z plus h of 2z. So in this case, what it says, suppose you are having one system, say for example, we talked about this band reject filter. In the band reject filter, we talked about that the cutoff frequency of low pass filter should be lower than cutoff frequency of the high pass filter. So what we had, we were having one low pass filter and we are having one high pass filter. So say this is omega and this is amplitude. Okay. So herein, if we have to implement band pass filter and the band reject filter, what we have to do? We have to add up, say H1Z. H1Z is for the say low pass filter, and H2Z, which is for the high pass filter. Okay, so we can have this kind of thing in this way. Okay, so we can design a band reject filter by this parallel form realization. Now, how will you realize this H1 and H2? It is up to you. You can go for the direct form realization 1, or you can go for the direct form realization 2 for H1Z. In the same way, you can implement H2Z either in the DF1 or in the DF2, and it does not matter. So maybe in the first case you are doing DF1 and in the second case DF2, or you can do DF2 realization and DF1 realization, or both DF1 or both DF2 realization. So it all depends upon what you want to do. The main thing is that once you get the stuff, then you have to add up the transfer functions of both H1Z and H2Z. Okay. Similarly, if you come to the cascade form realization, so herein we can say that Hz is given by H1Z multiplied by H2Z. Okay. So what happens over here? You can develop this high pass filter, the band pass filter over here. Okay, using the cascade form realization. What happens in cascade form realization? Over here also we have a low pass filter and a high pass filter. Okay, so in this case it should be allowing this black marked region. So if you see the low pass filter cutoff frequency, it is greater than the cutoff frequency of the high pass filter. So low pass frequency FCLPF should be greater than FCHPF. Okay. So here also we are using two subsystems, and from there we are designing a filter. Okay, where we are getting a band pass filter. So depending upon the characteristics of the H1Z and H2Z and the type of realization what you do, whether you are going for the parallel form realization or the cascade form realization, you can design different sets of filter over there. Now in many of the examples, if you remember, we have got a situation, say Hz is equal to 1 by, sorry, 1 by S minus A multiplied by S minus B, say for example. Now I can ask you to what do you call to realize the filter either in the parallel form or in the cascade form. So if it is in the parallel form, then you have to convert this in this form. Say A by, you have to do the partial fraction method and solve it. A divided by S of S minus A plus B of S of minus B. Okay. So if you convert this transfer function into this form, then you can realize the filter in the parallel form of realization. On the contrary, if you break this equation into this form, say 1 by S minus A multiplied by 1 by S minus B, then you can realize it into the cascade form. Okay, so this is how you can go for the realization of the filter, whether you want to go for the cascade form realization or parallel form realization. So I can ask you, you design the filter, and after designing the filter, you go for parallel form realization or cascade form realization and so on. Okay. Now the next type of realization is transposed direct form. Okay. So in the transposed direct form, it is basically obtained from the direct form to realization. So herein we look into the direction of the signal flow. So in our previous case, in our previous slide, we have designed this filter XZ, then we had WZ and YZ. We had this type of architecture, right? Now, from here, I have drawn the signal flow graph. Okay. So, signal flow graphs, it helps us to understand how the signal is flowing within an architecture. Okay. So if you see, the arrows have been given in which direction the signal is going. Okay. And if you see the coefficients, they are marked with this arrow signs. Okay, minus A1, minus A2, B0, B1. So what does this transpose direct form says? It says first reverse the direction of the signal flow. So what we have done, see, we have reversed the direction of the signal flow. So if the signal was going from left to right, what we have done, we have just flipped it at each of the lines. It is going on the reverse direction. So here it was, you see, it was going from left to right. Now we can see it is going from right to left. Similarly, if you check the cases over here, in the first case it is going from left to right, whereas in the second case it is going right to left, and so on. So in each and every way, you can see we have reversed the direction. The thing is interchange the input at the output. So initially we had input on the left hand side and output on the right hand side. So we have changed the input and the output. Okay. So we have done this. Then third point is reverse the roles of the node. Okay. So we are reversing the roles of the of all the nodes. So if you see over here, we were having summation, and over here we are having divergence. So signal is coming from here and they are getting out. Okay. In this case, it was summation. Over here, it is getting basically divergent into two other signal components, right? Then fourth summing point becomes the branching point. As I told you, summing point, it is getting, this was the summing point, where is the summing point? Yeah, this was the summing point for this A1 and A2. But in the second case, because see, it has become the branching point. It is going from this node, the signal is getting branched. Whereas in the first case, it was the summing point. Okay. And in the second case, your branching points, they are getting summing points. So if you see the WZ point over here, the signal was being branched in the first case, but in the second case, if you see, it is getting a summing point. Okay. So these are some of the steps which you need to follow for the transposed direct form realization. And once you have done this, if you redraw this transposed direct form, so you get this kind of architecture. Okay. Now you may ask, what is the need for this type of transposed direct form realization? If you see the original this architecture over here, if you see, there was no feedback loop over here. So the architecture, it may become somewhat confusing for a starter. Whereas if you look into the new signal flow graph after we have designed this, so it is basically the same thing. What we are doing, we are adding up, then we are adding up, then we are having this the B0, the signal is going over there, then we are having B1 like this. Okay, then it is going over here, we are having adder YZ. So herein we are having delay Z inverse. So we are having another delay Z inverse. Okay. Minus of A1. Minus of A2 and so on. So now if you see, you are able to understand what is happening. Okay, maybe represent this in this way. Okay. So in this way, if you see, we are having this thing. So from here, if you see, we are getting the feedback, whereas in the previous case, if you see, we are not taking any feedback. Though if you implement and find out the results, you will find that both are same. However, it would become a bit confusing for a starter. Hence, in this case, in the transposed direct form, what we do, we realize the filter in such a way such that we have a feedback system. And that can help us in developing, in understanding the architecture in a better way. Okay. Go to the next topic, the integrators. So the IR filters, they are basically used to develop different types of integrators, like the rectangular integrator. So in this, the difference equation of the rectangular integrator is given by y of nt equals to y of nt minus t plus t multiplied by x and t. And then if you solve this, you get Hz equals to t multiplied by 1 minus z inverse. And if you solve this for the pole 0, you get a pole at 1 and 0 at the origin. Okay. Now from here you can find out modulus of h of omega t and phase of h of omega t. Okay. Now if you look what it does, suppose you are having a point at nt minus t and nt. So what it is doing, it is basically finding out the area under this rectangular portion. Okay, under this rectangular portion. Now if you see over here, there is a nearly a triangular area whose area is not being counted. Whose area is not being counted. Okay, so this is one of the disadvantage of the rectangular integration. However, the implementation of this filter, it is quite easy and it is less computational hungry. Okay, now from here you can realize the filter also. Okay, so you can directly realize the filter over here. Now in the next case we have the trapezoidal integration. So in the trapezoidal integration you are having this transfer function y of nt equals to y of nt minus t plus capital T x of nt minus t plus t by 2 x of nt minus x of nt minus t. Okay, from there you can find out the hz by taking the z transform, and thereafter you can find out this modulus of h omega and phase of h omega. Okay, now over here what is happening to the integration level? If you see, it is basically adding up a rectangular area and a triangular area. Okay, however, still there may be some gap in between, but compared to the previous case, the rectangular integration case, this gap will be quite minimal. Okay, so the trapezoidal integrator, it will give you better results in comparison to the rectangular integrator. Further, you have to keep another thing in mind. If you look into the pole zero plot of the rectangular integrator, so you will find at the maximum legal frequency there is no zero. Now what will happen because of this? Because of this, some of the high frequency component, high frequency noise, they will pass through the filter. Okay. Whereas in the second case, in the trapezoidal integrator, the high frequency noise, it will be subsided. Okay, so this is one of the advantages of the trapezoidal integrator. Okay. Another important thing, if you remember, I told you to remember this HD, where I said high pass filter is a differentiator and your low pass filter automatically it becomes integrator. Now in both these cases, if you see what you are getting basically a low pass filter. If you compare this with your previous knowledge with the designing of the high pass filter and the low pass filter, so you can correlate this. Okay. Now the next rule is Simpson's rule integration, which basically employs a polynomial equation, and this is the difference equation over here. Okay, and it basically uses amplitude values at 3 points. Okay, so from here you can find out the transfer function of the system. This xz equals to t by 3 multiplied by 1 plus 4 z inverse plus 4 z to the power minus 2 divided by 1 minus z to the power minus 2. Now, if you solve this for the pole and zero plot, poles and zeros, you will get 2 poles at minus 1 and 1 and 2 zeros on the left hand side of the z plane. Okay, and the realization of the filter is something like this. Now, if you see, it is having a pole at the low frequency, it is also having a pole at the high frequency. Okay, so high frequency components, they will be amplified when you are using this Simpson's rule integration. When you are using this rectangular integration, some of the high frequency noise will pass through. Okay, because most of the amplification is being done near the DC frequency. However, when you are employing the Simpson's rule of integration, the high frequency noise component will also be amplified. Okay, you need to remember this one. However, one of the important thing is that if you see, all of the area under the points, they have been covered. Okay, so all of the area, so area under the curve will be very accurate. So if you compare the accuracy of the area under the curve, then you will be having the Simpson's rule integration. It will be the highest, followed by this trapezoidal rule of integration, and the least would be the rectangular integration. Okay. However, in terms of allowing the noise component, high frequency noise component to pass through, you will be having the trapezoidal rule integration. It is suppressing the high frequency noise component the greatest, followed by rectangular integration, followed by Simpson's rule of integration. So now it is up to you what kind of signal you are having, whether you are pre-processing the signal or not. And if you are pre-processing the signal and removing the high frequency noise component, then you can definitely go for the Simpson's rule of integration, which will give you the most accurate results. Okay. However, if this is not the case, then you have to look into what is your goal of the thing. As I told you at the beginning of the session, that when we do the signal processing is all about what you want from the signal, what information you want to gather from the signal. Okay, so in this way you can do it. So these are some of the integrators which are being designed using the IIR filter. Okay, we come to the next and the last topic, designing methods of IIR filters using 2 poles. So it is basically a very generic method to design an IIR filter. So over here, if you see, we are given with a generic transfer function. Okay, so xz is equal to 1 plus a1 z inverse plus a2 z to the power minus 2 divided by 1 minus b1 plus b2 z to the power minus 2. So herein the 0 locations are given by z equals to minus a1 plus minus under root of a1 square plus 4 of a2 divided by 2. Now if you see the values of this a1 and a2, that means the numerator, so values of the 0 locations, they are being fixed. So if you see LPF equals, for LPF a1 is 2 and a2 is 1. For band pass filter, it is a1 is equal to 0 and a2 equals to minus of 1. For HPF, A1 is equal to minus of 2 and A2 is equal to 1. Okay. And for band reject filter, it is 2 cos theta. For A1 equals to 2 of cos theta and A2 equals to 1. So the locations of the poles and the zero coordinates, they are already fixed. So what we have to do, we have to only figure out the pole locations which are given by z equals to b1 plus minus under root of b1 square minus 4b2 divided by 2. Now herein b1, it is given by b1 equals to 2 of r cos theta and b2, it is given by r square. Now what is r? The r is the radius of the unit circle. So if you want to put a pole onto the unit circle, then r will be equals to 1. And if you want to put pole at the 0, then r would be equals to 0. Are you getting my point? So after having this, we have this theta, and this theta is given by 2 pi fc by fs. Okay, where fc is the cutoff frequency for the high pass filter and the band pass filter, low pass filter. Sorry. So fc is the cutoff frequency for the high pass filter and low pass filter, whereas this fc is basically the resonating frequency for band pass filter and band reject filter. What is the resonating frequency? So when we talk about band pass filter, you will see that it is going up and then again it is coming down. So at a particular frequency, the amplitude is maximum, and that frequency, it is given by it is regarded as the resonating frequency for the band pass filter, whereas for the band reject filter, this would be the minimum point or the minimum frequency where you will be having the this resonating frequency. Okay, minimum amplitude at the resonating frequency. Now how do you find out? In both of the cases, if you see, we have already discussed that both band pass filter and band reject filter, they are being designed using a low pass filter and a high pass filter. Now in both of these cases, what you do, for the resonating frequency fr, you will just calculate f of low pass filter plus f of high pass filter divided by 2. Okay, so by using this formula, this is the simplest formula. There are other complex stuffs also depending upon the nature of the filter, but we will be sticking to this formula, fr equals to fl plus fh divided by 2. Okay, from here you have to find out the resonating frequency, and then from there you find out this theta, and once you find out this theta will be used to put over here b1 equals to 2r cos theta and b2 equals to r square. Okay, now greater the r, the more will be the amplitude response at the critical frequency or the resonating frequency. Okay, so then as you see, this next point is the selection of the r. So r tending to 1 under damping, and r tending to 0, it would be over damping. Over damping means you are suppressing the amplitude gain, whereas under damping means you are amplifying the gain. In other words, you can say the under damping means amplifying. Okay, and already we have chosen the values of A1 and A2 depending upon whether our system is a low pass filter or a band pass filter or a high pass filter or a band reject filter. Okay, so we have got all the values now, whether A1 or A2 or B1 and B2. We have also selected the R. We have also selected this resonant frequency and all this thing, and accordingly you just put this value in Hz in the first equation. You take up all this value whatever you have calculated and put up over here, and you can easily design a two-pole filter. Okay. Now in the so you would ask, sir, why do you need this? Okay. This method, it allows us to design the different filters in a relatively easier way as compared to the previous methods. If you look into the previous method, what is happening? In the previous method, we had to solve a lot of things. We have to apply a lot of formulas to design a filter. Whereas over here, we have the location of the zeros already known. We just have to calculate the location of the poles, and then we can get the what you call a desired filter quite ready. Okay. So with this, I stop over here. So we complete the IR filter class. So if you have any questions, we can discuss those. Do you guys have any questions? No?
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah.
In the filter realization parallel form and cascading form, you mentioned parallel is used for band reject and cascade for band pass, right?
It can be used.
Not
You
be
can design
that
all
way,
the
right?
other filters also, but it is just an example.
Yes, it like parallel can be designed. Parallel can be used for designing band pass, and cascade can be used for band reject as well, right, sir? Because h of like the h of z is can be split into
No, what happens?
cascade
You are
or
mistaken over here. What happens? You are mistaken over here. When you talk about the band reject filter, okay. So in the band reject filter, what we have seen? We have seen that cutoff of the low pass filter.
less than high pass.
It is less than the
High pass.
high pass filter. Okay. So what is happening over here? You are basically adding up the stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So you are having this low pass filter components, these frequency components. Say I call it F1. Okay. So low pass component is added up, and the F2, the high pass components, frequency components, they are also getting added up. Now, if you try to put up in the cascade form, so what will happen?
We multiply the.
You are having this low pass filter F1. So what it is doing? It is rejecting all this high component. Even if you then later on, if you say you add up this high pass filter, you are just multiplying it over here. So what is happening? It is already gone. These frequency components are already gone.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
So not every equation can be expressed in both the forms. Can I take it that way?
It depends upon you. So how you are realizing it. Suppose, as I told you, suppose your bandpass filter, it is in the form of say 1 by s minus a multiplied by s minus b or something on the top also there is something say. So you can convert this either in this form a by s minus a plus b by s minus b. Okay, so in that case you have
this can be realized in both parallel and cascading. Yes, I get that.
Which one?
1 by s minus
if you are having this kind of thing, you can if you can break this down, if you are break this down into an adder. So if you see in parallel form, you have an adder. So if you can break any subsystem into two subsystems which are in the form of addition, it may have say another say plus C of S minus C. Okay, so that means you are having another subsystem H3Z, and over here you are having an adder. Okay, so
Right.
if you have any transfer function, so this kind of stuff, say if I say A dash plus B dash plus C dash, so if you are having some adder in between the subsystem transfer functions, then you can implement it in the parallel form. Or if you have some subsystems where you're having A dash multiplied by B dash multiplied by C dash, if you have a multiplier, then you can implement it using H1 multiplied by H2. And yeah, another important thing, these H1 and H2 in both the cases, they are commutative. That means if you are having, say, H1Z, it is equal to, Hz, it is equal to H1Z plus H2Z. It can also be written as H2Z plus H1Z. Similarly, over here, Hz is equal to H1Z multiplied by H2Z. You can also write it down as H2Z multiplied by H1Z. Okay. These are also commutative in nature.
Yes, sir. Okay.
So it does not matter, it has to be in this order, A dash, B dash, C dash. It may be in the form of C dash multiplied by A dash multiplied by B dash, and so on. Okay.
Yes. Another question. In the transpose direct form, you mentioned the need for this method is the feedback, right?
Yeah, if you see, there is a feedback from the output. There is a feedback loop.
Even in the figure
Mhm.
in the left side, we do have a feedback, right? So the multipliers
But
minus
this is
A1 and
from
minus
the direct
A2.
from one realization. Na? This is for direct from two realization, sorry.
Yes.
Direct from two realization. Over here, if you see the output, the signals are converging towards the output. So it is a
Yes.
feed forward network. If you see, the signals are converging towards the output. Over here, you are getting the feedback from the output.
Yeah, but every IIR filter has a feedback. So, what extra advantage does this give? I didn't understand
That's what I
actually.
told you. Na? If you are having this feed forward type of network, it is many students, they will not be able to understand it in a proper way. However, when you are having this implementation, YZ, this thing from where you are typing the output and you are taking the feedback from the output and you are realizing the filter. Okay.
Right, sir.
You're taking the output as the information and you are putting into the system, whereas there is no feedback in this case in that form to realization. It is all the information which is being processed over here, it is all going within the YZ, but we are not taking any information from the output and putting it into the system.
Okay. In DF2, there's only feedback within, and there's nothing there's no
Coming
feedback
from
from
the
the
YZ.
output as such.
Yeah, so nothing is coming from the output into the system. So no feedback is coming into the system. Whatever is happening, it is happening within this area. Okay.
Okay, sir. Understood. Thank you.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Okay.